Should we trust authority? I mean, today's world, people are waking up and coming to an agreement that the objective answer is no, we shouldn't. We can look at government, the military industrial complex, the private sector, banking, finance, healthcare, all the way down to religion. Like everywhere we look in today's world, the short answer is no, we should not trust authority. And what I mean by that is blindly trust. It doesn't mean we don't listen and take in all forms of information, sure. But do we just blanketly trust authority? No. I say no emphatically too because it's just a flawed philosophy. It is not a good philosophy to trust anyone for that matter. And so, speaking specifically on religion, there's a video here that I'm going to let y'all listen to where this guy is talking about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are the closest, the most preserved closely to when Jesus was alive, and so those have the most validity. And my question is, why is that? I mean, the authority back then is what put all this together. We know that there was persecution of heresies and all different differing opinions. Why do we trust that authority? I don't know. Let's listen to this. I'll be right back with that fire and wisdom.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the earliest and best historical documents we have of Jesus. And the problem people have is we hear all these gospels, Matthew and Mark and Thomas and Mary and Luke and John, and we think they're all the same and they should be given same weight. But no, I mean, just look historically at them.
Right.
The Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Peter and Mary, they were written 200 or more years after the time of Jesus, which would have been after Peter and Mary and Thomas died. And so they're not really from these guys. We don't know who they're from. The theology is a little bit different. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the best. And so it makes sense that these are the ones God gave his church for us to treat as authoritative.
Let me go ahead and meet him halfway here. He says that it makes sense that God provided the early church fathers these texts as the ones that we should rely on as authoritative. Okay, that's fine. But by the same token, I believe God also made it happen this way where these other texts were discovered at this point in time for exactly what humanity is transitioning out of. We look back at these original, or we look back at the mainstream narrative, the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all the books of the Bible that was put together by the authority of that time, and we give it value in a way that we wouldn't give value to the authority, the narrative from authority today. And so I think for myself, when I would say the past 5 years especially, I went down these rabbit holes once I had family members associated with a certain uncanny happening in the health sphere. And when I went down that rabbit hole, that was what really opened my eyes up to the level of corruption and how it's just all over the place. And that was part of the process for me, waking up to the reality that we shouldn't be trusting authority. And so once you're comfortable asking the most difficult questions and you're comfortable not accepting that the argument from authority or the logical fallacy of the appeal to authority is not what we should be basing our opinions on, then you start to find out that you come to different conclusions. And when he says, we shouldn't put the same weight on these texts, these texts were preserved for a reason. Any text that you find, we should be placing the same weight on it. We should be judging it for the merit of its content. We should read it and compare it to the other content. And the crazy thing is, when you do that, let's just take the Gospel of Thomas. The second saying, I think, in it is that let he who seeks continue to seek until he finds. When he finds, he will be disturbed, then he will be astonished, and then he will rule over all of the world. And it's something like that really gets to the mystical side of reality, and it sounds very much in line with the kingdom of God being within, and very much in line with when Jesus performed the works that he did when he was alive. He said, we can do all the things he does and will do greater things. O ye of little faith. Essentially that's what you're lacking. So he talked about it in a way that suggests we all have access to the same things that he did and greater things. And so, for just back to what this video is about, we should not be looking at these texts and judging them based on the authority narrative. We should not trust authority. We should read all texts and value them based on their merit. And frankly, the mainstream narrative, I know I speak for more than just myself when I say, if the mainstream narrative says something, oftentimes I start there and I accept that very well possibly isn't the truth. And then I do my research, and I'm still open to that being the truth, but it does not by any means make me more confident in the truth being the mainstream narrative. If anything, it's the other way around. And there's very, very, very good reason for that we can look at in our contemporary history. And so I think humanity is waking up to this reality that we've been lied to, not just in our contemporary history, but for thousands of years. And this idea that the rulers of this realm back in a time where they were far more barbaric should be trusted any more than they're trusted today just doesn't make any sense. It should be the other way around. And so I think this is where humanity is going. I'm not the only one saying this. Tons of people are saying this. And I think we are witnessing a revolution happening in real time. A truth revolution. And that's what this Raise Our Awareness revolution embodies. That's the symbolism behind transitioning from sheep to lions. That's why the Raise Our Awareness revolution is humanity's roar. Because we are transitioning in our consciousness and our awareness and our understanding of the nature of reality and our relationship to it. I believe we are going from the biblical era of covenants and commandments to a new era of operating from principles and awareness. And I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because I'll save that for another video. But anyway, I think that's it for today. We should not be trusting authority or the mainstream narrative any more than any other text. And anyway, thank y'all for listening. God bless. Love.